Modern Warfare 2's campaign is a bit more Sicario than it is a Michael Bay action blockbuster. Which isn't a bad thing, it's just a different flavor of Call of Duty action, being a direct sequel to 2019's Modern Warfare, which I actually beat just a few days prior to Modern Warfare 2's campaign releasing. That story is also much more grounded and kind of reworked the idea of what a Call of Duty campaign can be. So it makes sense that Modern Warfare 2 is very similar in that regard, but it does have glimpses of the former bombastic action-packed campaigns of the past. I think the best thing about it in terms of gameplay is that there is a ton of variety in all the missions, and it does introduce some fresh ideas for Call of Duty, but not necessarily fresh for shooters in general. For example, there's a couple of different missions focused on stealth, one where you're sneaking through a mansion, there's another where you sneak through a city where you're trying to survive and you're crafting items, there's one where you tactically move Ghost through a compound without him being spotted. And each mission does a good job of breaking up the standard Call of Duty gameplay you've come to expect, whether you're running and gunning or defending a point from waves of enemies. But each of those missions sort of overstays its welcome, and I feel like the game doesn't fully commit to those ideas. They feel like mere tastes of what they could be. So because of that, they can feel a little gimmicky. I do think the crafting aspect of the survival mission is merely a taste of what we could expect in DMZ, which I'm really looking forward to seeing more of. But by the end of that mission, it felt a little tedious and frustrating, so I didn't love it, but I think the best part about that mission was the banter between Soap and Ghost.
Why peel your head?
English, McTavish.
Sorry, sir. Let me translate. Go yourself.
The most memorable mission in the game for me is one where you begin in a helicopter and end up hanging upside down from it, flying through traffic, end up jumping on cars and leaping from one car to another and blowing up trucks. It's completely insane. It feels very much like old school Call of Duty, but it did mechanically feel a little strange. I think the driving felt really good. I know there's a heavier focus on vehicles in Warzone and DMZ coming up, and the vehicles definitely feel better than they did in 2019, but it was, again, a little gimmicky because leaping from one vehicle to another, you can tell, is almost on rails, because there'd be a few times where I'd literally hit the ground and then hop up onto a vehicle as we're speeding down the highway. So it kind of took me out of the moment, but overall that mission was pretty memorable, and I wish we'd gotten more like that in this game. But again, the mission variety kept things pretty fresh, even if some of the missions weren't as memorable as that one. And I do have mixed feelings on some of them because this game definitely repeats a few beats in both the story and gameplay from previous Modern Warfare games. For new players, some of these moments may be truly memorable and could stick with them for a long time, but because I've played the original Modern Warfare trilogy, some of these moments didn't hit as hard for me as they're probably intended to. But the original Modern Warfare 2's campaign was remastered a couple of years ago, and that campaign still kicks ass. I replayed it for COD Connected, actually reviewed it for COD Connected a while back, and I forgot just how much I loved that game. And this campaign, I have to admit, honestly pales in comparison in regard to memorable moments, at least. Like I said, it's a very different flavor of Call of Duty, but 2009 Modern Warfare 2's campaign is a lot more fun to me than this one. Although I do appreciate the nostalgic throwback elements of some of these missions, I would have rather seen some newer ideas. And the best part of the campaign are the characters, which ultimately matters more to me than the plot anyway. Task Force 141 is reunited and packed with more personality than ever. Price is as awesome as ever, Gaz is cool, but major standouts for me are Alejandro and Valeria. Alejandro of the Mexican Special Forces is just downright cool, steals a lot of the scenes from me, and Valeria is just an all-around badass.
I warned you she would do this, eh?
I run a business, senores. We grow or we die.
And it helps that these games feature the actual faces of the actors playing these characters because it makes their performances far more believable. On the technical side of things, the audio is truly spectacular, which wasn't a surprise to me because 2019's audio was unbelievably good. And there really isn't anything specific I can say other than it's just excellent across the board.
Watch the container!
But the only aspect of the audio that was missing for me is that I feel like a lot of key moments in the campaign were lacking music where it should have been. For example, on the highway, you're flying down the road, leaping from vehicle to vehicle, shooting trucks, and explosions are happening, and it's just a low, subtle synth in the background where I feel like it could have been way more orchestral. You can go back to any crazy moment from the original Modern Warfare 2's campaign, and I'm pretty sure it's full of just way more compelling music.
Hang on!
So because of that, it made a few of the more exciting moments feel a bit lackluster. And graphically, it's gorgeous to no one's surprise. Specifically, the cutscenes look insane. I don't know if Infinity Ward did them in-house or if it was another studio, but whoever worked on it absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I'm playing the game on PC, and there are a surprising amount of bugs that may have been patched out by the time of me recording this, but initially playing it, every time a cutscene started, it dropped frames significantly. I'm talking like 10 to 20 at a time, sometimes more. And it wasn't the entirety of cutscenes, but it'd be the first 10 to 20 seconds the cutscene really struggled to get going, and then it'd sort of kick into gear. And there were a few moments where textures were popping in where I don't think they're supposed to be, specifically a moment with a tank at the end where the ground just looked completely insane. I don't know what was going on, but definitely not meant to be there. So a buggier campaign for sure, which is pretty abnormal, I feel, at least in my experience. I don't recall there being too many bugs in Call of Duty campaigns, but this one struggled a bit at the beginning. It didn't hinder gameplay necessarily, but it did take me out of a few moments. So overall, I had a good bit of fun with it. I think it's worth playing for the characters and multiplayer rewards. It's not nearly as memorable as some of the older Call of Duty campaigns. And honestly, if you don't feel like playing the campaign yourself, the best taste of it you can get is with Donkey's video he just put out. That's really the only video you need on the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. But if you have played the campaign yourself, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. The whole reason I make these videos is because I love to have the conversation, so please don't hesitate to speak. That's about all I got in the campaign, so thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.